God is so annoying sometimes, I swear. I guess I'm going to be talking about this. I'm going to be discussing my testimony, and that is the fact that I transitioned into a boy for 2 years of my life, from the age of 18 up until 20 years old. And this bad boy is the reason I was convicted. If you can't tell, these are injection shots. I don't want to put them on camera too long because they might, they might report this. But I've been injecting testosterone shots into my leg for 2 years while I was transitioning. And God convicted me to talk about this story. Once again, He has been convicting me for 2 years so far to talk about this story, or almost 2 years. So we're going to talk about it. Obviously I was ashamed to discuss this, but hey, fear cannot get me no more. I'm not scared to talk about nothing no more. I'm living in my truth. So we're going to discuss it. We're going to make a long, long, long story just a little long, okay? So I came out as bisexual when I was 13. I came out as lesbian when I was 14. And from the age of 14 up until 20 years old, I was only dating women. From the age of 18 until 20 is when I was taking testosterone shots and I was transitioning. And from the age of 20 up until 22, which I am 22 today, I have been detransitioned. Okay? So there's plenty of reasons why I even transitioned to begin with, and I don't want to get this too deep and too long. So if you have any questions, you can just drop a comment down below, and I'll answer that in the next video. But let's just sum it up by saying I had a lot of childhood trauma, and I guess when you have childhood trauma, you tend to run towards what brings you comfort. And during my childhood of the dating scene, when I first started dating, I dealt with a lot of trauma from men. And, they reminded me of the trauma of my parents and my abandonment wounds, because that's the trauma that I deal with is abandonment wounds. And when I got into the dating scenes, I dealt with a lot of pain from men. A lot of them would leave. They would use me and leave, or they would just be on and off. They wouldn't reciprocate the same energy. They would just be very bare minimum giving, and that hurt me deep. And I think that's one of the reasons why I even thought to date women, because you just want to experience. You're like, you know what? If a man ain't gonna treat me right, let me just go to women. And the first woman that I dated, that I truly dated, she hurt me just like the men did, right? She left me for somebody else. And at that moment is when I started to dress very masculine, and I became masculine. It wasn't when I transitioned yet, but I became... See, the devil already trying to stop the video. It's all right. But I became very masculine, and I basically just cut off my feelings. I was just like, you know what? I'm not about to deal with nobody leaving me, right? And when I dated women, I would become my abuser, right? And I didn't realize I was doing this to women until, this year and last year that God healed that in me. But I realized that I left every woman that I dated. Everything would be fine. And if I got a trigger that made me feel like they're about to leave, I would leave them with no explanation. I would block women. I would just say, I don't know why I don't want to be together anymore. And I would just leave that day. If I was in relationships, I wouldn't talk to them the entire day. I was just very nonchalant and very like not, I didn't give much. Right. And, eventually I was in this space where I was very suicidal. I was lost, and I thought that the reason why I was lost is because I had to go deeper within that, and I had to transition. So in order to find myself, because I was so lost, I said, you know what, maybe that's not fulfilling me. Maybe I have to actually transition. And I went into the transition. And there's a lot of reasons that pushed me even further into that, meaning like, people telling me not to do it, and me having trouble with authority and people trying to control my life, which made me even push me even further into doing it. That's besides the point. So I went into transitioning, and everything felt good. It felt like I found myself, but there was still this sense of like a missing puzzle piece. And I still had a relationship with God. It wasn't as deep as it is now. It was a very dark place for me, because I didn't realize how much I was becoming the people that hurt me, and how much I was actually lost. And the reason I was lost, because I've been hurt. And trauma allows you to live in fear, and fear allows you to run towards things that aren't for you. Run away from love. And I was running away from myself, and I transitioned, and everything felt okay, but there was, again, always this missing puzzle piece. And the more that I went into transitioning, the longer I've been in it, God would just continue to convict me and say, no, this is not you, you know? Or if I would date a woman, I would envision, marrying a man. I always, I always knew that I would marry a man and have kids of my own, and I see myself pregnant, but I didn't want to think that that was going to be me. So I kind of pushed that to the side, and I continue to treat women like I was treated. I didn't cheat. I didn't, you know, do things like deceiving. The biggest thing was that I left. I would always leave. Even if everything was fine, I would leave because I sensed that they were about to leave me. And that was my biggest fear, was being left. You could cheat on me, you could lie to me, you could do whatever. I allowed people to treat me however, just don't leave me. That was the biggest thing. Don't leave me. And eventually it just got to a point of like, this is not fulfilling me. And I would have dreams of this guy. I would have dreams of marrying men. And it wasn't until I had this dream in 2020 that I died and I seen Jesus. And in the dream, I was a girl and I didn't understand it. And on my tombstone, it said, "Rest in peace, Shania." Mind you, when I'm transitioning, I changed my name legally. And my name was, I'm not going to say my name, but my name was something else. And in the dream, I was confused because in the dream, my tombstone said, "Rest in peace, Shania." And I remember praying to God and saying, like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And that dream really showed me that that was the start of like me realizing that I was slowly going to get out of that season and slowly going to come back to myself. And up until that dream, up until now, I would slowly get dreams every single night of me marrying a man, of my dreams, me being a girl. Because when I used to have dreams, I was a boy. I was who I was at the time. And I would have more and more dreams of being a girl. Then I started to get sick. I would get sick so much to the point where I literally couldn't take injection shots no more. I stopped taking them. And God just told me, like, you have to get rid of the friends that you have. You have to get rid of everybody that's in your life. And I stopped being friends with people. I stopped dating who I was dating, and I got to a point of completely being alone. And God was like, "Who are you?" And I had to really sit with myself and ask myself, "Who am I?" And it came to my senses that I was just like, you know what? This is not me. I don't want to dress like this. I don't want to be masculine because I've always been feminine deep down. I had this mask. It was my survival mode. It kept me safe for so long because I didn't like to show my emotion. I didn't like people seeing me hurt. And I masked myself, and it wasn't until God said, "Who are you?" that I was like, you know what? And I stopped taking the shots. And, I even had facial hair. I cut off all my facial hair. I had a very low cut. I grew it out. I went to go buy girl clothes. That's when I told my family. And I think the shame came from having to make people adjust to this version of me now when I already made them adjust to the last version of me. And there was a lot of shame in that. And when I just decided to say, you know what, this is not me, I felt free for once, and I felt like I finally found that missing piece because for so long I didn't even see my life past 21. And when I hit 21, I was a girl again. And it brought me so much love and joy to know that God transformed my life in the midst of 2 years. Like, I would have still been that person if I didn't find him, if he didn't come to me and, reveal himself. And I'm just so grateful. But yeah, if you have any questions, I'll answer some. But I'm about to open up these injection shots and count them. I'm about to cry. Oh my God. 9, 10, 11. So I'm not even halfway through, and this is 50. So these are 84 injection shots. And they were taken bi-weekly. I wasn't going to cry, but just allow for God to transform your life. And do not be scared of your past, because you are reborn again. And God can change any situation, because that right there is a testimony. God bless y'all and have a good day.